Hi everyone, join me on my solo trip to Bali. Get the best tips on the places to visit and how to not feel lonely when you're traveling alone. Let's get to it. I went to Bali in May for 11 days and it was the best adventure. From wonderful new encounters to the unspeakable beauty of Bali, where the colors are so vibrant you never need to use the filter. My plan for this trip was to travel slow. I visited a few places, met people and spent some time making notes for my novel. I didn't want to get too busy on this trip, so my motto was experience more by doing less. On my trip, I stayed in two places. First, Ubud, the spiritual and nature hub, and then for 5 nights in Uluwatu by the ocean. You might think that I could have visited and done more in this time. And you're right, but I have a friend who lives in Bali and she recommended that I follow exactly this itinerary. And she was right, it was great because Bali is not about rushing, it's about slowing down. In advance, I want to apologize for some of my videos being vertical, like Reels or Instagram shot, because on that trip I wasn't sure I'll be making a YouTube video out of it, but I promise it's still worth watching and you'll see lots of interesting things. I was stopped by the police, went to one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the north, visited a deserted water temple, had lots of solo dinners out, and saw the fire dance. Stay with me to see it all. In Ubud, I stayed at a beautiful guest house, Suravan Bisma. It had everything I needed. Great location, an incredible view over the rice field, and a terrace to chill out on. I usually sat there in the morning to watch the sunrise. It was so worth it. A tip about how to find company for drinks and dinners when traveling alone and not staying at hostels. Use Facebook groups for solo travelers or expats living in the place of your destination. I posted on a few social media groups asking if anyone would like to meet up for coffee or a walk. 2 girls replied and I met with both of them. So I had scheduled coffee meetup with one of the girls just on the second day after my arrival. It made me feel so happy. It immediately gave purpose and structure to my day. Because you know how it can be when you're traveling alone, quite daunting, but having something scheduled and planned with another person really helps you to get into the right mood. We met at Yoga Barn. It's a very popular yoga and wellness center in Ubud. At the cafe, had delicious smoothie bowls, latte, and then decided to go to another cafe in the rice fields. That's where the police story kicks in. We hopped on the girl's motorbike, but there was no helmet for me. We figured it shouldn't be a problem because the drive was really short, and I did see locals driving without a helmet, so yeah, I was a little bit scared, but I thought if it's just like 5-7 minutes drive, that should be fine. But for good or bad, a police officer stepped in the middle of the road and blocked our way. He led us behind some building and gave us a very long lecture about, how dangerous it is to drive without a helmet, especially for tourists. He even showed us some really disturbing pictures. But to cut the story short, we paid a little contribution to him and were dismissed. But under one condition, that we can't carry on driving without a helmet for me. So we had to split for the journey and meet up at the restaurant. To stay on the safe side, I decided to call a car taxi. And it was definitely the right decision because I got to walk from the main road where a taxi dropped me off to the restaurant through the rice fields, and the walk was absolutely gorgeous. Just look at this, so beautiful and authentic. walking through the rice fields and watching the sunset, the sunrise, are some of the main attractions in Ubud. We met with a girl, had some meal and coconut, and parted our ways. We only met once with her, but it was great to have company for that day. Later, I swam in the pool in my guest house, chatted with other tourists, and then took myself out for dinner. I did feel anxious at first because it's like different when you go out for breakfast or lunch alone, it's okay, but when you go out for dinner, especially in a new place, with all the candles on the tables and couples around, it can be really embarrassing. But I still decided to do it because the tourists I met at my guest house suggested that this restaurant was really, really good. So I decided to give it a try and felt really proud of myself. Besides, in Bali, you shouldn't worry about it. It's very common for solo travelers to just go to places on their own. So waiters are not really surprised with that scene. The next day, I went to the famous Tirtha Temple, or Holy Water Temple, from the book Eat, Pray, Love. You don't really need a tour agency to go to the temple because you can just call a taxi and the driver will wait outside of the temple for you while you finish your tour and then come back, and they will drive you wherever you want. I was very lucky to be matched with a friendly taxi driver who told me a lot about Balinese culture and also recommended some really nice places to visit. And I went to two of them, but I'll tell you about this later. As expected, Tir Temple was incredibly beautiful and spiritual, authentic. I really enjoyed wandering around there. But quite touristy. Crowds of visitors line up to plunge into the holy water, just like the Eat, Pray, Love character did. The ceremony symbolizes the transformation of one's spiritual state, washing away impurities to achieve inner peace, health, and clarity. On that day, I didn't feel like I was ready for the ceremony, so I skipped this ritual. Afterward, I decided to go to another water temple, known to be quieter and more authentic, Pura Mengenin. And there, in contrast, I wandered completely alone, up and down moss-covered steps, the vibrant green, the stone walls, the smell of earth, water, and leaves. I felt like I was deep in the jungle. It felt so wild wandering there on my own, as if I was the first person ever to discover that place. I definitely recommend stopping by a few water temples on the way, not just holy water temple. There are so many of them and they're less crowded and sometimes even more impressive. Another day, I took some time to work on my novel in Lazy Cat Cafe, surrounded by many other remote workers. For lunch, I got coconut curry with tofu, and it was delicious. It's so easy to eat healthy in Bali because it's the main thing on the menu. And at night, I planned a sunset dinner with another girl from social media groups who responded. We had a lovely chat. She had lived in Bali for 2 years and had so much to share about Bali. We enjoyed the sunset, dinner, and went for another drink at a bar. It was really great night. Sometimes I'm amused at how open we feel with complete strangers. Maybe because we know that we'll never see them again. And it kind of allows us to pour our hearts out. But to be honest, maybe it's just a Ukrainian trait. And then I had a pool club day. I really wanted to visit rice terraces, but in a way that felt fun and social. So I decided to go to Kretja. It's the most famous pool club near Ubud. You pay for the entry ticket and get access to the bar, restaurants, pools, and also the rice terraces. The swimming pools are designed in cascading 3 levels, just like the rice terraces themselves. Imagine swimming in a pool, sipping a drink, and overlooking the most vibrant green rice terraces. It was literally perfect. except for the fact that most people there were couples or groups of friends, and I did feel a bit awkward lingering there on my own, but only for a moment. Because when you have views like this, you can't help but enjoy yourself. Little advice: before you plunge into the pool, make sure that first you take a walk around the rice terraces. When all the main activities were done, I went to the restaurant, got myself the best table, and started writing. Then I had a tuna salad for lunch. I really enjoyed that day. So whether you are traveling solo or not, make sure to pop in for this exciting and relaxing experience. And for dinner, believe it or not, I went to a Ukrainian cuisine restaurant. The restaurant is called Soloma, which means straw from Ukrainian language. Eating borscht in the jungles of Bali was so surreal. It was actually easier to find Ukrainian cuisine restaurant in Bali than it is in London. How does that work? The next day, my new friend from Bali, who had a sunset dinner with, and I went on a day trip to the waterfalls. We visited two, and one completely stole my heart. But before we had the chance to get into our taxi, we stumbled upon a beautiful, loud, vibrant celebration of something. The first stop was Leke Waterfall. The path from the car park felt like an easy walk through the real jungle. We even saw a wild rooster on the way. But when we arrived, a little disappointment settled in. It was too crowded and cramped to really enjoy. So we took a few pictures, made a quick video, and moved on. I was so eager to see less popular and more remote waterfall called Nung Nung Waterfall. And we did. It was worth it a million times over. A true display of nature's raw power. The waterfall is surrounded by cliffs on every side, creating the feeling of a true wild hidden place. When we arrived, I was immediately hypnotized by its beauty. I couldn't get enough of it. Looking, touching, feeling its power, taking pictures. We spent at least 2 hours there. And yes, there is no phone reception, which makes the whole experience even more unique. If you go there, prepare to get wet. The droplets land everywhere, and within minutes your hair and clothes are damp. But it's a memory you will carry in your heart forever. I didn't realize how much I loved waterfalls until then. When we returned, it was already dark, so we grabbed a few drinks in a bar and listened to some live music. The next chapter of my journey was Uluwatu, a beautiful town by the coast, perfect for all the ocean experiences. I stayed in a simple guest house called Kantika, not far from the coast. There was a cow to greet me nearby, and the room was nice but nothing extraordinary. In general, getting a great place to stay in the places by the ocean in Bali is more expensive than getting a nice place in, say, Ubud. But I suppose it's fair enough. I had some delicious coffee and lunch at nearby very famous cafe Suka while working on my notes. I even had an online therapy session that day, and I think it's a great idea if you're traveling alone. And at night, I took myself out to a candlelit dinner, feeling proud I was brave enough to do that with no No anxiety or embarrassment, just a lovely night out. Afterward, I joined a beach party that my Bali-based friend had recommended. It was so much fun. Next morning, I explored Padang Beach. It's a great place to swim, sunbathe, daydream, sip a coconut, or read a book. Unfortunately, one day I came down with Bali Belly and had to stay in my room alone all day, watching Dexter with only a couple of lizards for company. So make sure to bring some medicines, stomach pills, just in case, and never drink the tap water in Bali. Don't even brush your teeth with it. Soon I recovered and went to see the Kecak or fire dance. It's a traditional performance held on a cliffside at night. It was absolutely spectacular. The Kecak dance is based on the belief that a divine force enters the body and possesses the performer. It's very atmospheric and powerful. Around 50-60 dancers sit cross-legged in a circle, chanting chak chak chak, without instruments or music, creating fascinating rhythm. In the center, a dramatic story unfolds, something about gods, spirits, love, and everything in between. As night falls, fire torches are lit in the middle of the circle, and the insanity of the chanting and performance builds to a hypnotic crescendo. On my last day in Bali, I went to explore a more remote beach called Nyang Nyang Beach. It looked vast and endless, with cliffs rising beautifully in the background. The water was so clear, and chilling on the sandbed was exactly what I needed before it was time to end my Bali chapter and fly to Singapore. But that's a completely different story. Subscribe, leave a comment, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye!